Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Gina Veazey, and I'm with ARWO. We're delighted that you're here with us today for the ARWO Liquid Knowledge webinar, Strategy and Practice, Leveraging Opportunities for Regional Water Organizations. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to share with you. First, this session is being recorded. All attendees' mics are in mute. In a few days, all of the registrants will receive an email with a link to the replay. We'll have time at the end for Q&A, and we ask that you please log your questions as you have them by clicking on the question mark in the control panel at the top right. If you need a technical assistance during the webinar, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon. Please note that the control panel may collapse when it's not actively in use. And if you're joining from a mobile device, the question mark is at the top right of your screen, and you can raise your hand by clicking on more at the bottom of your screen. And now I'd like to hand it over to Brad Veit of Iowa Lakes Regional Water to introduce ARWO and our speaker.
Thank you, Gina. As Gina said, my name is Brad Veit. I'm the CEO of Iowa Lakes Regional Water in Spencer, Iowa. I'm also currently the treasurer of the association. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the ARWO Liquid Knowledge webinar. I would also like to thank the sponsor of today's webinar, CoBank. ARWO is the voice and knowledge exchange of regional water and wastewater organizations. We aim to build a community to advance the interest of these organizations. Regional water organizations stretch across multiple political jurisdictions and serve customers who are often spread out over rural, suburban, and urban areas. Many of these communities have been historically unserved and underserved. Regional water organizations benefit from economies of scale and often are able to be as innovative as a big city water utility. Many are structured in a way that allow them to stay out of local politics and to qualify for financial help from numerous sources. All this frequently results in lower rates for our customers and, more importantly, a more stable balance sheet. If you're struggling with any of these things, ARWO is here to help. Please reach out and we'd be happy to set up a call. Today, we will hear from my friend Glenn Marzluf of Delco Water Company in Delaware, Ohio. Glenn will be walking us through his organization's strategy to approach the challenges that we all face as opportunities to innovate. Glenn has been the general manager and CEO of Delco Water for 12 years. He is also a past president of ARWO. With that, I will turn it over to Glenn for his presentation.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. If you can't hear me, somebody's going to need to reach out to me, but I'm assuming that you're all hearing me now. So I'm going to turn off my camera and step into the presentation, which hopefully that will be full screen. If it's not, then Gina, you're going to have to get a hold of me. But it looks like what I'm seeing is it's on full screen. So I'm going to move on that assumption, and we'll get moving here today. All right. So Brad already kind of gave you an introduction to ARWO. Give me a second. Having minor technical difficulties, and my screen is just not showing up entirely on my own screen. So I'm having a little bit of trouble sharing it with you all. All right, so I'm back seeing the full-size ARWO screen here. So we started in 2016, and as Brad said, we advocate for regional systems throughout the nation. So what I'm going to share with you today is some strategy work that we've been working here at Delco Water, and I'm sure you'll find this highly applicable to all your organizations. So Delco Water, if you're not familiar with us, we are a regional utility operating the northern part of central Ohio, just north of Columbus. We serve about 830 square miles, 56,000 or so meter connections, retail connections. We have the largest single retail service area in the state of Ohio. We're about the 8th largest by population. 30 elevated tanks, 2,000 miles of water line, and so on. What you see here is our original service area in southern Delaware County, and that area just south of there, that's the Columbus County, Franklin County, and City of Columbus. So we bought them on the south, and then you can see we've grown to the north. So the southern part of our system is very urban, and as you get further north, it becomes more and more rural. Just shows kind of a way we've grown over the last 50 years. We had our 50 year of service this past February, right? So the organization was incorporated about 55 years ago, but it took us 4 or 5 years to get the funding, get the construction of the original system done to where we're active. We've hit on this pretty well already. We are a 501c12 nonprofit cooperative, the same tax designation as a rural electric co-op. So those of you who are authorities, districts, municipalities, just a different way to provide our service. And the big picture stuff is the water industry, right? We are agents of public health. And there are times when that public health hat that we wear is in conflict with the fact that we're selling a commodity. So we always have to consider the public health aspect of our job, along with agents of the environment. We have the opportunity to be a monopoly in almost all cases for our service. Obviously, it's an essential service, right? Folks are not simply choosing not to have water. It's not like cable TV or anything like that. I mean, this is an essential service that everybody has to have. And one of the greatest things about our industry is this opportunity to be cooperative. Working together. Generally, when we work with even folks right in our area, even the investor-owned utilities, Aqua Water or American Water, City of Columbus, our aspect is really to try to provide the best water service to the region and to our respective customers. So, Gene, we ready for a polling question? Oh, here we go. All right. So, what challenges have you or your organization encountered? And you see the choices there: expanding infrastructure, regulatory compliance, politics, something else. I haven't checked, but maybe you can click multiple answers. I'm not sure if this is a unique choice or not, but I'm going to wait for a couple minutes here as those get filled out. So.
Okay, I think we've got a pretty good number of responses here. If anybody has a last minute vote, please do so now. I'm going to close the poll in about 3 seconds.
Are they able to see the results at this time?
I'm just about to share them.
Okay.
Okay, this is a new platform for me, so I hope that you all can see the results. But I'll just read them off here. The first one, expanding infrastructure, received 80% of the vote. Regulatory compliance is 53, political 20, and something else 40.
We'll appreciate your attention to the polling questions. Looks like I'm back full screen again, so I'm going to move into some more of my presentation. So one of the main things I'm walking through is our current strategic plan, and it's not exclusive to that. I'm sharing some other things as part of it as well, but our current strategic plan and how that really affects our ability to serve regionally throughout our industry. And one of the things I want to point out is the way we've developed our strategic plan was actually through a partnership that's through ARWO. So the Association of Regional Water Organizations, EJ Water is another member, and they actually helped us build the strategic plan. We hired EJ Water Co-op Services, and it had a couple of additional ARWO members involved, right? So the strategic plan itself was built kind of through this partnership, through this organization. So that's an opportunity that you have to reach out to others within the industry that have specific skills that can help us each provide the best services possible to our customers and members. And in this case, EJ actually had an individual that was very skilled in strategic planning, and we had another one from El Paso Water, along with some other support staff, and they just did a fantastic job. And you'll see it coming forward here. So some of these slides I'll be skipping through fairly quickly. We did a traditional SWOT analysis here: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. One of the things, actually, I'm going to back up a couple slides here. One of the things that we did differently on the strategic plan than we've done in the past is we had a much larger group from Delco Water's team involved. So typically in the past, prior strategic plans, it was the board and the executive level only. And this time we got down to senior management and even some middle management involved in actually the framing process. And then as the plan started going live, we've had lots and lots more folks involved, down to frontline supervisors. So we reflected and kept our same purpose and mission as before. We supply water, one of life's most vital resources, enabling our members and communities to thrive and prosper. You can remember, and we're a co-op. The big difference here, the way that the EJ Water team does strategic planning, is they like to have some kind of a vision statement that's very memorable. That tagline specifically is very memorable. So creating a resilient and sustainable water supply for our region by being, and here's the tagline: service focused and growth oriented. In our group, they're very service focused. I think we're as good as any in our industry, or in any industry for that matter. So the core values remain fairly similar to what they were in the past, but we took this opportunity to spell out the acronym service, right? So you see them on there. I'm going to read through these things, but we are absolutely a service-based organization. All of our team members love serving our Delco Water customers and our members and each other, and that really shows. That's one of the great prides we have with our organization. We developed these 5 goals. Everything is service focused, growth oriented, right? That tagline. So it's individuals and teams, environmental sustainability, innovation and best practices, partnerships, and then systems, which is more your traditional water lines and that type of thing. We wanted to be very intentional not to just get a strategic plan that sat on the shelf like the ones we've done in the past. I remember specifically we had kind of a newer employee that had joined us, and he had a lot of history working as a consultant for a lot of firms. And he goes, Delco, you do a really good job here, but one thing you don't do very well is you don't have a strategic plan. And I said, oh, you're wrong. We do have a strategic plan. It's right over here on my shelf. It's terrible that you've been here 3 years and you didn't even know about it. We kind of had outgrown that strategic plan, and it was time for a rebuild. So just wanted to make sure that type of thing doesn't happen again. So we actually have onboarded this platform called Invisio to help us continue to stay in pulse and stay in tandem with all of our team in carrying out these tasks, and it keeps track of that, provides dashboards that we can share with the board and that type of thing. So it's technology specifically dedicated to that strategic plan completion. There's things like snapshots. I'm going to step right into the goals. This is kind of the meat of the presentation here. First is individuals and teams. So we had 3 strategies in here. I'm going to keep this at the strategy. We're not going to go too much down to the tactical level, other than we're sharing some of the specific practices that we carried out here. But communication, training, and coaching. Those are the 3 things, individuals and teams. We're internally with our teammates. How are we building those up? And one of the things that we've been very intentional about is the employee experience. We are very much a service-based organization, like I said, and we are very employee-focused. From the board level on down throughout the organization, we really value our associates, our frontline employees, and we focus on that a lot. So first, culturally, one of the emphases we do here, like for instance, we had a whole service day last May where we shut the entire company down and everybody come together. It's the first time we've done it for an entire day like this. And this was the day we launched the strategic plan, May 5 of 23. Just shows the agenda that we put out. We have all those kind of quizzes, those type of polling that you saw here today. We did that with amongst the staff. We have something called Delco U, which is kind of an internal training program that we do. Billy Gibson, our employee engagement and safety professional leads that for us. We had the board of directors all come to that initial kickoff, so they were all there and kind of had a session, like a panel discussion with the board members and ask them various questions so that the team members could get to meet our board. Typically, most of them don't have access to the board, as you would expect. Our current board president, Pam Hawk. We had a history of Delco Water that explained how we came about, along with the history of water in general. We paid a big focus on mental wellness as well as the physical insurance. So we've added things like we have an on-site counselor that's on site once or twice a month, and also offers virtual hours for those that don't want to have a concern with people realizing that they're going to a counselor. We have a way to them to do that more inconspicuously, if that makes sense. So that's been a real focus of us, that mental wellness part. And then we added a economic crisis program this past year or so. This thing went live. So we actually work with one of our local nonprofits, and our employees can apply for a grant if they have some kind of a crisis. This is all completely anonymous. In the past, sometimes we know about these things, sometimes we don't, but we're concerned is that a lot of folks are very prideful. They wouldn't want people to know that they need help. And this allows them to get access to those programs anonymously. So all we do, when a application comes into this nonprofit, they let us know, and we give them the current population of our employees base, right? So they're just able to check it. And is this employee that applied? Is it a valid application? And are they a current employee? And if they are, then they get granted up to, I think lifetime total is up to $5,000 they can get towards hardships like car repairs or significant health issues, even for their dependents, that type of thing. Some more Delco U. We have some committees. One of the other big programs we started is our Connections program. And this, we kind of model it off of our leadership program. A lot of communities have so we have Leadership Delaware for Leadership Delaware County. And we kind of model it off that. So we have 12 folks that basically tour and audit the other departments. How do they work? How do they function? What kind of work do they do? So everybody gets a great understanding of how these departments work together to provide the services to our members, why every job is important at our organization, and it also builds a good bond between our staff members themselves. Really, it's been a great addition. There's just some images where they're looking at lockout tagout for our maintenance department, and then we do a weekly. So the communication side, we do a weekly drop video, about 3 to 5 minutes per week, just kind of give the staff what's going on, kind of current communication of the current events going on at Delco Water. Safety has been a focus of ours. We are one of the first in the nation to be recognized by OSHA as a SHARP certified facility. And then we actually received the national award from American Water Works this year, the Wendell Ledoux Utility Safety Award for a large utility. So we're really proud of that fact too. We've been really focused on how important our teammates are to us. So the culture is the first part of that employee experience. The next part is the physical environment. Some of you got a chance to come to our grand opening of our Wolf Water Center. It's a new building we opened last May of 2023, named after a couple of Wolf brothers, including Steve that you see there. His retirement brick is one of the elements we have in this new building. So you see it here. We have a training facility that can hold all of 120 of our associates. We use this extensively. You see the core values on the wall. If you saw the cover image, Al Ricard took my picture there when we were doing a tour of our campus, and that's what was used right there by our core values, that service. And we have new pull-through garage bays for our team. One of the things, we try to be leaders in the industry, and we specifically designed this facility so that it could be used and become kind of the hub, the center spot for water and wastewater training for the state of Ohio, and it very much has been that. We have our YP Summit for Ohio coming there. In fact, we just had a training last week. Our distribution seminar for American Water Works has been there. Rural Water has met there as well. So really proud by the fact that we have that designation of being the premier facility for Ohio. We also invested in some of our other campuses. We built a new garage and replaced the office at our Marengo office. technology. It's that third part of that employee experience, that tripod of the stool they're sitting on. So we had a major investment these last couple of years on our asset management program. We went to Maximo, IBM. We are in the process of onboarding Oracle for a customer information system. And WIMS is our lab platform, along with a variety of other things. 360 Water is a new trading platform that we have that our employees can actually get CEUs towards their water licenses, amongst other things. So that's like 360 Water is an example of the training. We're really trying to make clear contact with our employees, continue to have regular check-ins. We've gone to quarterly check-ins, really to try to define, get goals from the employees, and then implement a program that they each can continue to move up as far as they want to, and continue to support that career growth. Last thing we're working on is coaching, really just trying to get a lot, it's not, just like many of your organizations, a lot of our entry level, middle management, even some of our upper management are just folks that were very good at their daily jobs. So they got promoted to the next level. So really just trying to get them to stop doing the work and start coaching others. So that's been one of our primary goals. Goal number 2, environmental sustainability. It has a variety of things. Some of it's traditional environmental sustainability, but it also includes like dealing with current regulations. So we're adding treatment for PFAS. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. So we are working on that. That's actually at EPA for approval right now. Some of the more traditional environmental sustainability initiatives. I'm going to kind of skip through some of these things, but we have an environmental sustainability committee of employees that work hard on these activities, very passionate about them. Stuff like pollinator habitats. We had the first floating solar array in the state of Ohio, so we've got some recognition for it. Really excited about that coming online here. And then one of the other things, we'll touch on this more later, but just trying to move less water around that huge 800 square mile service area is a good way to save on electric and ultimately sustainable activity. So we'll talk about how we're trying to get folks to use less water a little bit later here. Drought management program. This has been, I think, for a lot of the Midwest, we've seen a drought, but this is one of the droughts of record. Like we're the third or fourth driest year on record in our area this year. So we're really able to see how our drought management program is working. This is basically the way our largest reservoir looks today. This is back in 2012, the last time we had a huge drought concern, and we're in the same spot now. But obviously, right now we're already well into the month of September, so we're very confident that we don't have any really critical concerns. But if it looked like this in the month of June or July, we'd be in desperate times. Something else I want to tell you that we've done here in Central Ohio, and Delco was a founding member and funder for this, is we did a climate change study all the way back in 2012 to look at what the future would look like for precipitation and how we would need to change our operations. So that finished in 2014, and we continue to push forward some of the activities from that, looking maybe at some point doing the next phase. I currently chair the committee that runs the Sustaining Cider project here. So cider is the largest river in our region. That's named after the Cider watershed. And then again with source water, the reservoir management plan. One of our big challenges here at Delco Water is residuals management, and we're trying to take some actions here. We're trying to look at some more dewatering beyond conventional gravity lagoons here, looking at maybe doing a belt press or centrifuges, that kind of thing, to make the product more usable year round. We currently farm apply this. It's beneficially reused in farms, but the challenge is getting access to those farm fields. The farmers obviously only want you in there between crops, and it's a real challenge as we make more and more of this, and City of Columbus is starting to take some of their residuals to market too, so that's a challenge. Moving on to our third major goal session is this innovation and best business practice. I'll go through these specifically, but one of them is emergency response. So we've worked with Arcadis to update our risk and resiliency plan. They used to call this a vulnerability assessment. So the current one is risk and resiliency. So we're working on updating that. That's a major update we haven't seen in a while. On the cyber side, right, this is obviously a big topic for all of us these days. We had even just we're already in contract with a vendor when ARWO rules came out in 2019 and when or 2020, and had them do a cyber penetration, and we're almost finished with the initial line of recommendations from them, but continue to try to get better at that. One of the things we're doing, as an example of a best practice, is backup as a service. So you've all heard of software as a service and some other things, right? So we actually have our entire system is backed up by a third party to the cloud, and they're responsible for that. They're responsible for being able to restore our backup if we need it. So if we were subject to a ransomware attack, as an example, we are very confident, because we pay somebody that specializes in this, that we have a backup that is usable and can be restored in short order. We already talked a little bit about asset management. We continue to work with Maximo. One of the great things, so Maximo is this huge IBM product. It's really quite cumbersome and challenging, but our employees are becoming subject matter experts on it. At least some of them are, and they use it every day. But then it's one of the great things about it. It's used regularly throughout the utilities industry, along with many other industries. And there's actually user groups and conferences related to that. Some of our asset management activities really try to do a lot of proactive management stuff, and I'm going to skip through some of these things. I want to stay on speed, but you can see the types of stuff. Fluid transformer oil analysis, ultrasonic is one of the newest things we're getting into. Really are very focused on proactive management, VFDs, and making sure that we support our technology better. Something that historically we haven't done a really good job occasionally onboarding technology, but really making sure that folks continue training and continue to support those for existing team members, and also onboarding new team members. KPIs is on there. That's something that we have not mastered yet. We're collecting a lot of data, but I'm not sure that right now we can say that we are really a data-driven organization. We try to be. We're trying to get better at that, but that's still somewhere that we could use some help from the rest of you, figuring out how do we really leverage all this data to make us better decision makers and run our business better. Yeah, right there it says KPIs are exclusive. So our water loss is generally low at Delco Water, about 13% trend year on year, but we're continuing to focus on this as a strategy. So an example to identify specific areas to look at, we have district metering, continue trying to get better at that, go into more AMI type district meters, satellite and smart learning models are two examples of things we do to identify where leaks might be. And then we have a drone, thermal imaging drone, and a canine leak detection specialist as well. For instance, the smart model or the satellite leak detection would give us a certain area where when we drive there, that looks like there's a probable or possible leak at that location, and we'll bring out Kina, who is our leak detection dog, to actually go out on the field and try to locate those. We added an infrared drone back probably about 18 months ago. Cost of, I think this was about $30,000 to add this one. It's the same chassis that's used by sheriff, law enforcement. And in fact, they use the same camera, right? So this infrared unit can detect perpetrators when they're out running around at night or anytime. We can use the same thing to detect water leaks, right? If we find an area that's a different temperature than areas around it, that could indicate a leak. Particularly if it's a surfacing leak. If we have a leak at night that we can't locate, this drone is very effective at it. I'm going to try sharing a little bit of this video. So this is on the right is a standard video of Kina and Zach working the leak, and then on the left you see the thermal image, and eventually you'll see where all the temperature change is so much different. It's water's leaking out of that pipe right there, and Kina has found the leak. All right. I'm going to move on, try to keep things moving here. Innovation. So this is best business practice and innovation, and we've been a part of an international project called the Utility Innovation Program. So we've been working on for a couple of years. How do we take innovation and make it practical? It seems like a lot of it's an academic pursuit at a lot of organizations, and we just want to get something we can launch. So we had our first go round of this last year. We actually took a call for ideas and concepts from our employee base. So one of the primary purposes of this innovation program is to engage the employees and get their ideas and then try to take them to action. And we've actually got a couple that we're working on implementing. Our real true innovation strategy is just follow Central Arkansas Water, and whenever Tad Bohannon comes out with a new idea, that's what we do at Delco Water. He's the master innovator, so we always try to follow Tad. I mentioned before, we're trying to sell less water. By selling less water, that would reduce our carbon footprint, of course, but our challenge is we have a really high seasonal demand at Delco Water. We have a lot of very affluent customer base, and there's a lot of lawn sprinkling going on. So one of the things that we've been working on is how do we change the way our customers use water? So this next year, 2025, we're going to implement our first ever major rate structure change. We essentially have the same rate structure that was put in place by USDA's RD, or Farmer's Home, that we put in place in 1974 when we started. Of course, those costs have gone up over the last 50 years, but we still have a declining block rate. Well, not any longer. Now we're going to switch to an inclining block. The goal, of course, is to meet our revenue requirement, right? It costs so much money to run our utility, but we want to reduce outdoor use, send a price signal for that. Particularly, we wanted to reduce peak day. That's the driver for us, is how do we make sure that we can produce enough water that we can transmit and distribute water to the proper locations on a high demand day. For instance, sometimes we have all of our high service pumps sending water to one or two different tanks in a particular pressure zone, and the customers are sprinkling water so quickly that it's still, the elevation of water in that tank is still dropping. So that's a big issue. So we want to reduce that peak day, and then obviously we want to delay additional capital, right? If we can make our existing infrastructure last longer, that's a big deal for us. So we're working on a marketing strategy, getting ready to take this out and really try to promote the fact that we're doing this, make sure our customers are not surprised by this, make sure they understand the why and the how and the what and all those type of things looking forward. But a rate structure change with an inclining block rate, with a particular rate, a price signal for outdoor water use. And here's the ultimate goal, right? So this, the two trends you see here on the right is average day and peak day. And that peak day, right, we're just trying to change the trajectory of that trend line so that our existing capacity lasts longer and our cost that we would have to put out there to add additional treatment, add additional source, it's a big challenge for us, is delayed. One of the other things we did, actually, a developer came to us and they said, we think you're overcharging us for your capacity fees. We build multifamily, and we have the data to support the fact that we think you're overcharging us. You're charging us a percentage of what you charge for a single family home, and we're not using that much. So we said, thank you, we'll investigate that. And we looked at our own data, and we found that there was some truth to it. So what we did this year is we reduced all of our multifamily capacity fees by about 16%. And the concept behind this is that the way multifamily customers use water is more efficient and more effective for us as a utility. Much less peak day demands, much less seasonality when we talk about the per capita, per individual use of water. So that's why we did that, really trying to help any way we can with a bit of a housing crisis we have in Central Ohio. I know this is going on all across the country, but this is a growing area here, Central Ohio, and we really do underbuild on new units of homes. We have a pretty high demand for real estate, so that's something we're focused on. Goal number 4, moving on, this is partnerships, right? So we have 2 or 3 different strategies in here. We'll walk through some of those. The first is customer engagement. And the first thing I'll talk about is our member advisory committee, right? So we have a 9-member elected board of directors. And then we have an additional, looks like it's about 18-member advisory committee. These do a couple things for us, right? We can run ideas by them, get some feedback from this group. They also become board candidates for if we have openings in the future. This group is highly engaged and very helpful. In fact, one of them was the suggestion and how we did a rate structure increase this past year. We increased our minimum fee based on some feedback from them. So very valuable thing we've added here in the last, that member advisory committee is about 3 years old. We started that just after the pandemic. We already mentioned that we're changing technology for customer information systems. We're onboarding the Oracle CCS is what they call it. That's an active project we have going on now. It's a pretty expensive project. 10-year total cost about $7.5 million, which comes to about 50 cents per bill for the technology and the licensing and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite expensive, but this is the best in class product. It's one of the best in the country. It is a enterprise system. You know, you all heard of Oracle, just like you've heard of IBM, right? This is a big boy product. So we're trying to work on putting that online. We did do a customer satisfaction survey in 2020 during the pandemic, and we scored off the charts. I told you before, I really believe that our group is so good at service and cares so much about servicing our customers and our members' needs that I wasn't surprised by this. Although the group we hired a third party to do this, and they said this is the best scores that they'd ever experienced in their time of doing these types of surveys as well. Other things, we're working on a financial model, long-term financial cost of service. Other things on the partnership side, so we hired an economic development professional, something that is not as common in the water industry. We see that often in the electrical ops. Most of them have economic development professionals. Certainly see that on the investor-owned side, but something we took action on coming out of this pandemic. We really saw an uptick in industrial demands around here. So we hired Rick in 22. Other things on a partner side. So we're going to talk about regional water projects. This first one is the village of Waldo. It's kind of in the middle north part of our system, but they did not have a water system at all. They were on individual wells. Not a real big town, right? 320 people. You see the median income there. But we applied for some funding for this. First, we worked through USDA to try to get this funded through their grant program. And one of the challenges we have, and a lot of you probably have the same experience if you work with USDA, but so we wanted to borrow money for this town. But in order to have access to that program, this town had to basically start its own water system, borrow the funds, and then would need to transfer the water assets to Delco Water at a future date. The village didn't even have one person that had email when we started this thing. So just a real monumental task to try to get that done. We did help them through it. It took years of work, a lot of hard work to get that done. Ultimately, they did create the water system and sold it to us. Although at the end of the day, we ended up using not USDA funds, but the SRF. In Ohio, it's called the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account, but that's the state revolving fund for Ohio. Did that. Some unique things with this project. We actually took service lines into the home, right? So we just set the meter out front, but then we had a second part, a subcontractor to the main contractor, a licensed plumber, came and made the connections into the home itself, right? We tried to do anything we could to partner with this community to break down the resistance, the barriers to them joining the Delco water system. So we made the connection in the house. We added the pressure tanks you see here on the right, the pressure absorbing tanks. And we also, it doesn't show it on here, but we abandoned their existing wells, which is required by the health department. We had a pretty extensive fight with the health department about that because they didn't always do that in the past, but they made us do it for this project. So really held the hands of this community like we have with no others in the past. We're trying to do the same thing now on the other part. This is the far eastern part of our system. Hartford is in Licking County. This is pretty close to where Intel is going in, if you've heard about the Intel project. Working now with a couple other cities, actually municipalities. This is a village, but about, I think it's about 3,500 folks, Mount Gilead. We're engaged with them, talking with them about maybe acquiring their system if they're interested in doing so. Candlewood Lake has water and wastewater, and we're talking with them, maybe being like a contract operator for them. They have a pretty good staff. They have a pretty good, pretty tight system. It's fairly new, but their operator of record's getting ready to retire, so they're very concerned about that. So we're trying to figure out ways around that. Line extensions. Depending on how your system works, maybe you all do these regularly, but we try to do 5 customers per mile. to make a project work, and it's still heavily subsidized at that. But continuing to look at this, is this a good way to do business? But this is part of our roots, right? We are a rural water system at heart. This is how we started. We took water to where it was needed, and it's something we still feel strongly about. And so far, we're still doing it, even though we're subsidizing these projects. We are cooperative, like I mentioned before, and these are the main principles, the pillars of a co-op. And the last one is concern for community, right? So this strategic plan is partnerships. And we actually achieved something that really didn't think was possible looking back in our history. But we were the business of the year last year for our local foundation, for our philanthropy and for our outreach. Really so excited about that for concern for community. You see some of our partners there on the left. There's our folks serving at Ronald McDonald House and putting backpacks together for a day like that. Every year, we close down the organization the day before Memorial Day, and we go up to Flying Horse Farms, which is part of the Paul Newman Camp Network for critically ill children. So anyhow, we go up there and we get them set up to do camp that year. We bring in our backhoes, we bring in our bucket trucks, our electricians, our mechanics, distribution folks, and we clean it and we work on it and we make that camp ready for season. Then we send folks home a little bit early for a 3.5-day weekend that day. But every year, that's our tradition, serving at Flying Horse Farms. Actually, we're recognized as the 43rd most philanthropic organization in the Columbus region this past year. Just started a new scholarship program with the foundation as well, named after a former general manager and board member, P.K. Tudor. Some of the hardware from our various activities. I am still on schedule, getting close to the end here. Last thing is on systems, right? So one of the things that we didn't do too well, we had a key retirement in January of 24. Shane Clark was our deputy general manager and also our chief engineer, and did all of our major capital planning. And he actually did our last 2 master plans in-house. Challenge is, you lose somebody like that. He had so much of this knowledge in his head, so we had to find a way to capture our capital projects in a different way. So one of our major endeavors was to stand up a new capital projects tracking mechanism. And we ended up doing that by implementing it through Maximo, our asset management system. We did some configuration, made some minor changes to that. So that's the way we track our capital projects now. We're just in year 1 of that. Told you we're working on additional sources, trying to delay that need. But one of the things we did is we are a founding member of water reuse for Ohio. In fact, our current chief operating officer, Brian Coughlin, is the vice president of the Ohio chapter of water reuse. So something we are seriously looking at putting in place in the next 5 years. If you would have asked me even just 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said, well, we are specifically reserving spots at our water reclamation facilities for future transfer stations for the future, but not for Glenn Marzluf, probably not for my successor, but for 2 or 3 general managers down the line. We want to be able to get access to that wastewater as a source. Well, now it looks like we're going to go to industrial type reuse, not for potable, but for industrial type reuse, probably in the next 5 years. In fact, we have an RFP out on the street right now for that. First 2 million gallon tank, one of our 30, will soon be 32 elevated tanks that we'll have in our system. Total cost of $13 million. We talk about the total. So there's 3 different tanks. We're in active construction right now, and this is one of the 3, the $5.3 million one. Total of about $13 million for these 3 tanks. It's an image of us taking one of our old light tanks out of service. Building a new transmission line to get more water over to that tank that I told you would drop sometimes, even when we had all of our high service pumps pumping to it. We're doing a major 30-inch transmission line through the heart of a fairly developed area. Big challenge for us, but that's one that's going on now, about a $15 million project that has already been bid and is getting ready to start construction. Historically, we've had between 20 to 25 million in annual capital. But our next 5-year plan, you aggregate those together, it's over $500 million. Again, this is why we're doing the rate structure change, trying to defer some of this capital that, absent of peak day demands, could be put off further. Trying to work on pumping and transmission to take advantage of our existing capacity, being able to move water elsewhere on our system. And my close for this webinar is a call to service. As I told you about our organization, I really believe each one of us should serve the industry. Delco Water tries to serve the industry. I try to do that myself. We do collaboration. So we actually host within our industry, we reach out to other utilities and bring in folks to talk about backflow and distribution, maintenance. We've done a couple of managing of your dams, right? The watershed, that type of stuff. We host the directors and a general managers forum here on our campus. We do road tours. We talked about EJ Water before. We took our bus that you see pictured there and drove to Effingham, Illinois, and visited EJ Water. We've been up to Northwest Water and Sewer District in the northwestern part of Ohio. We had a couple folks go to Mohawk Valley in New York here recently to try to create peer-to-peer sharing. City Toledo is actually coming down next week. And my call to action for all of you is to serve our industry, serve here on ARWO. If you're not members now, consider membership here. This is an organization that can really help you all. We do a great job sharing best practice. Really, Tad is our president-elect, so all you have to do is listen to him, and you can find the best innovative practices out there. But the rest of us are pretty good too. Serve in your home, serve at your utility, serve at your church. It's a call to action is for service. Consider also joining the association here. And I think that's what I got. So I hope some of you have been able to hear this. I didn't get any feedback that people couldn't hear me, so I'm assuming that you've all been able to hear my entire presentation, and I can stop and take some questions now if we have time for that, Gina.
Yeah, we sure do. Thanks, Glenn, for all that great information. We do have a couple of questions, and the first one is about employees, really. It's how do you get your employees who have been there for quite a while to accept, education, training, mentoring, and learning new technologies and changing company culture and that sort of thing?
It's a focus on culture. Just snap your fingers and they do what you want. There's no magic about it. It takes work. Sometimes it takes turnover of those employees. It's a regular challenge of ours, trying to keep folks, bring them along. But I talked a little bit about Maxima. We onboarded that in 21, I think it was. That was hard. It was very hard. I knew it was going to be very hard. I've known about Maxima going into several other organizations where it just failed. Like they tried it for 6 months and then just scrapped it and went back to the old thing. We were committed to it. We certainly would have done things a little bit differently in hindsight if we'd realized ahead of time some of the challenges we were going to have. We could have configured it a little bit better, right? It is a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge. So you got to find champions. I talked a little bit about our employee engagement and safety professional, Billy Gibson. He is a great communicator. Does a good job breaking down change management. But that's ultimately it. If you can find one or two champions within a department, within a group of folks, then sometimes they can help you along your way. And otherwise, it's a struggle. But you just keep on working at it.
Okay, on a related topic, we had someone just ask a factual question. How many employees do you have?
We have 120 regular full-time employees. Seasonally, we'll get up to 135, something like that. We bring a lot of particularly college students in the summertime for, we call them internships, but some of them are more traditional internships, but a lot of them are just working seasonal help for the summer. For instance, we'll bring in water quality professionals and we let them do a few other things, but a lot of them are out there flushing hydrants. But 120 is the number.
Great, thank you. So another attendee asks, your presentation looks like there's a steady velocity of acquisition in the pipeline, along with financial planning, asset management, et cetera. Are you to the point where you have a full-time CFO on your staff, or is that still on the horizon?
Yeah, we've had a CFO for many years. Our last CFO retired in 2017 or so. We brought in a controller for a few years, and so we brought him in from another industry, And as that individual got more in tuned with the water industry and also took on more responsibility there, or CFO again. And I tell you that sometimes bringing in folks from other industries is a huge advantage, right? So he came in from a big investor owned, like a Fortune 500, not a 100, but a Fortune 500 company. So really understood and has been pushing us to use that a little bit better. The way we granularly look at revenue and stuff is so much different than before, right? So he builds this out. Every single one of our meter zones, he looks at independently, he looks at the number of customers that should be added there, the amount of water that that particular zone uses. Um, and we project that, looking into the next couple of years, how much is this part of Orange Township going to grow in the next couple of years? How much is this part of Liberty Township going to grow, and so on and so forth. So really, that is a spot that we have used data to our advantage, and very robust financial information, which is more readily available maybe than some of the more traditional operational type information that you'd see like an Amazon or somebody use, that they know exactly how many trinkets they're going to have to ship from warehouse A to warehouse B. We just haven't figured out the way to do that part yet, but we do have a full-time CFO to answer the question.
Great. So I think we have time for one more question, maybe two. We have one more. Let's see. How did you arrive at the 5 customers per mile figure to determine viability of line extensions? And was that based on an analysis?
Yeah, that's a good question. Am I allowed to say, because that's the way we've always done it? That's the way we did it when I got here. So I arrived in 2012 from a municipal utility. I was at Sarasota, Florida prior to coming here. I'm from Ohio, but we moved to Florida for a few years and moved back for this job. That's the way we've always done it. We've always known, at least for quite a while, we've known that is really not a magic number, that it doesn't do anything. But at least if we don't get 5, then we ask them to do some kind of contribution in most cases, over and above a traditional tap fee, right? So our current tap fee is $5,200. And what does that tap fee pay for? It pays for supply, source water, treatment, transmission, and storage, right? So they're just refunding us those funds. So really, it's not like found money to pay for the cost of line extension at all. Essentially, that entire line extension is subsidized. We do less subsidy when it comes to acquisitions. We try to do a pretty good job of making them pay their way on the system, bring it up to speed. Immediate capital investments, we'll find a way to say, well, you need to put that on. We're going to charge a little surplus to our typical bill. A lot of times, depending on which system we're acquiring, but a lot of times we can charge them an extra 10, 15, 20 bucks a month and still be way under what their existing bill is. You have the Delco bill, and then you add that little surcharge on top of it, and then maybe their current bill's all the way up here. So it's still a really great win for them. But that varies. Different villages have different things, different levels of service. We've had a couple we've acquired that didn't soften. So it's a pretty inexpensive plant to run if you're just pulling water out of the ground and hitting with a little bit of chlorine and shipping it out to them. But we offer a different level of service. So 5 customers per mile. Yeah, it's just back of the napkin, and it was not my napkin.
That's fair enough. So we have one question I think may have been answered in your presentation after it was asked. So it's fair enough to say that. But is Delco involved in water reuse projects or initiatives and partnerships? And the attendee makes the comment that I believe the city of Columbus is exploring this.
Yeah, so the city of Columbus, their administrator is the current president of water reuse, and our chief operating officer is the vice president of water reuse chapter for Ohio. They're ahead of us a little bit on this, but it doesn't take much to pass up Columbus. These big cities take them forever to get anything done. So I don't think RFP has actually hit the street yet, but it has been going back and forth. So that's going to be a partnership between Delco Water. And so we don't typically we don't do any wastewater today. The majority of our customer base are served by Delaware County Regional Sewer District. It's a 6117, which is within the county district here in Ohio. and they're the ones that own and operate the water reclamation facilities. So we are working with them on a partnership to issue an RFP to develop a master plan for reuse in our service area. Most likely in Delaware County, where it's a little bit more developed than the other spots. The goal of that is to maybe create a few corridors that look like they're promising for industrial customers, areas that we can reasonably get the water to, the reclaimed water to. One thing about reuse, so I had a full purple pipe system in Sarasota. I understand, having a second system, a non-potable reuse system, is it's a pretty expensive proposition, and it never pays for itself when you talk about taking it down to residential customers, right? You have to have a specific spot you're taking it to, and that's the goal of this RFP, is identify where are we going to take the reclaimed water to, what kind of customers can we do, is it worth pre-funding this, do we design it, all that type of stuff. We're trying to figure that out, but yes to the answer, and that gives you the more detailed answer, which apparently I'm very good at. I've been talking an awful lot on these. It should be like just yes no answers, and I'm giving you like 2.5 minutes per question, but I think I've run through all of our time now, so maybe that's good.
Right. So I am going to close this up now. We did want to make an announcement before we all go, though. First of all, thank you, Glenn. This has been a very enlightening session, and thanks to all of our attendees also for joining and asking such great questions too. Before you go, though, I want to invite you to register for our next ARWO Liquid Knowledge webinar, and I'm going to put up on the screen if I can. Apparently I'm not. Anyway, we are going to email you all a link to sign up for our next webinar. We have a wonderful speaker and a wonderful topic also. Kelly Grappler, who happened to be on our call today, is going to be our speaker, and she's the Deputy CEO at Iowa Lakes Regional Water in Spencer, Iowa. Her presentation is going to focus on a really unique challenge for regional water organizations, and that is workforce in the era of, the exodus of baby boomer generation employees. And you're going to learn in that session a lot about the innovative, award-winning programs that their organization has launched to attract working parents, veterans, students to its workforce, and what it's doing to retain them. So that's a topic that I know everyone is interested in. Thank you all again for attending. We will again be sending out the link to this replay and also a link for you all to sign up for our next webinar featuring Kelly. I wish you all a great day. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see ya.